I just watched a video by this channel Ascended, and then it auto-played this video while I was gaming, and both videos gave me kind of creepy vibes, so I'm just gonna react partway through, and I'll explain why it's creepy. So the first video was how to know if you're a sub 5 male, and what's fundamentally creepy about that is you shouldn't be mainly concerned about that as a man. Like, you can't control your looks, and one of the first things you should do in the realm of dating as a man is disregard your looks to a certain extent, right? I'm not saying like look intentionally bad or completely ignore it. Like, clean yourself up if you need to. But this guy talks about like how if you're a good-looking man, in this video that right here, how to know if you're an average-looking man. What's creepy about this is it's that just shows this obsession that these like incel, blackpill kind of guys have, where it's, I get the impression that they just stare at women and occasionally say the most like awkward things and expect like, oh, well, if I was just really good looking, this would be a really positive reaction. She would be chasing me, like she would be asking me out and carrying the conversation. And he talks about here about dating, and if you're a good looking guy, that somehow the woman is going to be like asking more questions, going to be more engaged. And that's true, but like I've said in other videos, women are fun. Women are funny. They want to have a good time on a date, even if they know for certain that it's not going to lead to a second date, that they're never going to see you again. And that's kind of the attitude you should have as a man. I've gone on dates where I know, hey, I don't want to go out with this person. 10 red flags popped up. I'm not going to be in a relationship with this person ever. I have no interest in pursuing this as a dating option. But this person's still a person, and I'm going to have a fun time with them right here, right now. And, get a friendship out of it. Or at least, a good vibe. Leave things on a positive note. That's the attitude you as a man should have. And that's the attitude that women have, right? They don't want to have a bad time, even if it's not going to work out. Even if you don't meet their criteria. Even if you weren't what they expected from your dating profile or whatever it is.
Last night, but I wanted to be honest and say that I didn't see a spark. A few weeks later, I see her on Instagram, and she is putting up a relationship photo with another guy. And, when I look deeper at the picture, this guy is, let's just say he's noticeably better looking than me.
Well, why are you obsessing over it? Don't obsess over it, man. What does it matter? It's meaningless. Who cares? Even if she chose this guy just because he's better looking. Like, it probably has more to do with how he treats her. Like, him being better looking is just one aspect of him having, like, just honestly more status than you. Like, even if you want to use these black pill terms, yeah, the guy's more fun, more funny, better personality. He's a better guy than you, and it's more than just his looks. Like, you being this like creeper, like heavily, and you need to be gauging the reaction of women as a man when you're dating. But the way that like the guy talks about it, you just know that he's having the worst and he talks about having the worst interactions with women. Women immediately being like, nope, not talking to you. It's because you're giving off a crazy vibe. You're like staring at them for a long time before you try talking to them. That's a problem. That's setting them off. That's a huge red flag. They're scared of you because you're giving off incredibly dangerous vibes. Like, you need to chill. Huge. You very heavily need to chill, or you will always be giving off those vibes of danger, honest danger.
This plays out a lot, you know. It's like I said, it's competition at the end of the day. Another example that I had personally.
It's not though, man. It's not, and you're losing the competition, and it's more than just your looks. Is why this type of guy, he'll lose it. You're making it a competition. You're preempting everything as this competition that everything is like against you. Everything is working against you. You just weren't born good looking, so it's a competition that you're guaranteed gonna fail at. Instead of doing what a competitive person actually does, which is seeking out a way to win regardless. And the way you do that is you start to see women as people and treat them as people.
Personally, was I had gone on a date with a girl from Hinge that was, you know, relatively attractive, and the same thing had happened. She texted me saying, you know, I had a great time with you last night, but you know, we should just be friends. You're a great guy, but the spark just wasn't there for me. A few months later, you know, I see her on Instagram, and
Come on, man. Why are you like obsessing over these women, like stalking their social media, figuring out who they're dating? Like, man, that's why. That's specifically why you have these struggles. Is what are you doing with your time where you're giving a crap? If I go on a date with a woman and things don't work out, maybe I'm not into her, maybe she's not into me, I move on. Like, boom, on to the next Hinge date or whatever. You know, it's not like if I wasted my time finding her on social media and looking at all her posts, figuring out who she's dating, and then comparing them to myself, that would burn up so much time. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody. Just improve yourself. Be better than everybody. Oh my God. Like, just have more fun than anybody. Just be fun to be around. Be able to have a good time. And instantly you'll see enormous dating success. Like, it's not about being better than anybody else. You making it a competition is ensuring that you'll lose, because that's going to be very off-putting when you're on the dates, because they're going to be like, oh man, like this person is trying way too hard. Just be a good time. You don't have to be the best in the world. No one is. No one's perfect. Everyone's got major flaws. The woman that you're like, these women you're obsessing over, they have major flaws. If you were to actually date them or be in a relationship with them, guess what? They're going to have all kinds of flaws. And most times, they're not going to be somebody who you want to be with long term. That's just the reality of dating. But you're over here like looking at who she's dating on social media and comparing their looks to your looks. Like, are you bi? Like, you'd have to be bi to even have a chance of even knowing what your looks are compared to them, right? Like, come on. Like you should vaguely have no idea. You should have, as a man, you should have no concept of the difference between a 3 out of 10 man and an 8 out of 10 man. Or like, let's say 7. 3 to 7, you should have no concept of the difference between a 7 and a 3. You should have a concept of like lower than 3 or higher than 7. Like, there's some pretty obvious things, which is mostly just being muscular, right? Being like taking care of yourself a little bit is going to propel you into the upper echelon. It's something literally any man can do. You can you literally can just do basic arm exercise, right? Spend like 2 hours a week, and instantly you're gonna like be arm maxing. Just such a ridiculous term, but I've never even done it. But I've seen videos where, like, look at what Tyler One says about working out. Look at what like any man who has a busy schedule and works out says. They say just work out your arms a little bit, and boom, you're gonna have muscular arms. You could just do it a couple hours a week. just do heavier and heavier weights. Just make sure the weight's really heavy and it won't take up much of your time because you're pushing your arms to their extremes. And that thus it's not this like hitting the gym every day for hours. You're actually hitting the gym every week for a very small number of hours. And that will just launch your attractiveness sky high. Like, it's, you don't, but that's, you can't do that and compare yourself to anybody, right? Because guess what? You're never going to be this bodybuilder type of guy unless you dedicate your life to it. You're never going to be this like millionaire type of guy unless you dedicate your life to it. But what you can do is be fun and funny. You don't have to dedicate your life to be funny, because guess what? Women are funny. And so are you to some extent. Just simple. And so is the world around you. That's the great thing about going on dates, is you're out in public. Typically, stuff is happening around you. Funny just occurs naturally in the universe. So this idea, you should only ever be comparing yourself to yourself, never anybody else.
Little behold, she's dating a guy that's also noticeably better looking than me. Both of those examples, they happened when I was around the high tier normie range, after I had 2 hair transplants and I was in pretty decent shape. But even at that time, I really wasn't like,
did your hair go to crap? Because he talks about how the miserable experiences he had before these hair transplants, and he didn't mention that being in shape. So it sounds like he's gotten out of shape and he's let his hair completely go. I mean, you don't really have control over that, but like, guys, you have the option of like wearing hats or just going completely bald. Like, you actually have a lot of options if you're balding, and you can look tremendously younger. Like, I know people who look at a decade plus younger, men who look a decade plus younger than they truly are, because they just shave it all off. It's actually very easy to do. And if you keep it short, you don't even have to keep it like shiny head, smooth head level. You could just cut it incredibly short. And it's going to pretty much function the same way. Like, no one's going to care. No one's going to even notice or care. There's also like old guys that I know where they just do that. They just buzz it like super short. And it basically it's really hard to tell exactly what their hairline is. So, I don't know, it sounds like this guy let himself go and it's just a total weirdo. It's more so in the other video that he gets into the thing about like, oh, like if you're below average looking, you're gonna, like, a waitress, a bartender isn't gonna want to talk to you. It's like, dude, that's probably more about the vibe you're giving off. I've never encountered it, right? Like, I know a lot of guys and I know a lot of women. I've gone to bars not super frequently. And when I do, it's not in the like creepy kind of way that this guy does, where he's like using it as this like experiment of gauging all these reactions, which you just know, right? You just know from him talking about that he's like staring at these people psychotically, and of course their reaction is going to be negative to him. But yeah, don't do that. You should, when you go to the bar, it should be with friends, and you should be giving off such a freaking, you should just genuinely be having fun, and that's going to be infectious, right? Where if you do interact with like a random woman, it's going to be because she's coming over to your table because your table's having more fun and you're just shooting the shit. It's not like this intense, serious, like make or break scenario for your social life, for your dating life, whether or not this woman agrees to chat you up. It's and you're gonna hunt her down on social media and check out what her boyfriend looks like. Like, that's, you should understand that you having this mindset is giving off this terrible vibe. that a woman's gonna pick up on immediately. That's what's happening, sir. That is what is happening.
Like fully blackpilled, and I hadn't lean maxed yet, and I'd still had some under eye bags as well. So it's tough. It's tough when those things happen. It's tough to deal with, but that's the raw truth. A lot of the time, it's something you're gonna have to deal with as an average looking guy. It's at the end of the day, she didn't feel the spark, not because of your personality, but because she really wasn't that physically attracted to you. When a woman meets you in person, she really knows within a very short period of time whether she's attracted to you. And when you get those rejection lines or the lines around that she didn't feel a spark, I'd bet that it has more to do with looks than your personality and
Yeah, exactly. You bet. I'm sure you do bet, because you clearly don't know that it has very little to do with your appearance.
Trying to connect with her. The next reason has to do with when a girl pulls other people into a conversation with you. So sometimes when you're talking to a woman as an average looking man, this may be at a bar, this may be at a party.
I'm terrified as to where this is going, honestly. Like, I've barely experienced this at all in these situations where you're at a bar or partying, and where anytime it's ever happened to me where a woman's like pulling someone else into a conversation, it's because they like want that person to engage. Like, it's always a very positive thing, and it's always like because like, oh, you got to meet my friend, she's also interested in that. Like, it's always like incredibly positive. So I wonder what this guy's gonna say.
Or some sort of get together, you'll notice that she'll pull in one of her friends or another guy she may be more attracted to you into the conversation you guys are having. So sometimes you'll be having a conversation and she'll be looking around.
What? I've never encountered that. She's looking around and pulls in another guy. Like, if I'm talking to someone, I mean, it's typically if I'm at a party or a bar, and I'm talking to a woman, it's because she's my friend. It's because we went there. We're amongst a group of friends. So even when you're talking to a random, though, I've never encountered this either where she pulls a guy into the conversation or where she is like looking around and visibly bored. Like, what do you disengage? If that were to happen, I would just walk away. I would just be like, all right, well, this person's boring. Like, they don't want to talk. Instantly I'm leaving and talking to somebody else. If that were to happen, they probably wouldn't even get to that point in the level of boredom of the conversation to where I would disengage before it even got to that point.
She might be pulling out her phone. You can tell she's kind of getting noticeably bored. And sometimes it's, you could be saying interesting things, but because she's not physically attracted to you, she wants to pull someone else into the conversation.
No, sir, what are you smoking? That's the concerning statement that I was waiting for. That right there. Oh, you're saying interesting things. You're so smart. You're so interesting. You're such a wonderful guy. You're so interesting. You're just riveting, dude. No, dude, you're not interesting. You understand that you're boring this person. Like, women don't go around and only interact with men who they want to date. Nobody does that. What are you talking about? Sir, you're if they're not interested, it's because what you're talking about isn't freaking interesting, dude. Like, talk about something that they're into, and guaranteed they're going to be super interested. I've gone on dates where there was no vibe, where clearly this was never going to lead to another date, clearly never going to lead to a friendship. Clearly the vibe was not there, just two wildly different people. But I've had amazing experiences with that, where it's like, you know what? I'm still interested in learning about you, talking about what you're interested in, making a connection, even though we're never going to see each other again after this date. You know, it's like this unspoken thing. And especially when you're like in a laid back environment, like a party or a bar, especially a party, my goodness, where they're like, where there's like nothing else to do but socialize ultimately. Yeah, like you people are looking to talk. If someone's bored and uninterested, it's because what you're talking about is uninteresting. You might find it interesting, but they don't. And like, what in the world are you talking about? Oh well, like, oh, if even though you're very interesting, they're just uninterested because you're not attractive. Like, what? Oh my God, man, pull your head out of your butt. You're blaming everything on your physical appearance, and it's all about it's everything to do with your personality and nothing to do with your appearance.
Conversation to make it more comfortable for her. Another reason has to do with other factors. So as an average looking guy, other factors like your fashion.
For farmers.
Like, this is what's so frustrating about these types of people is it's just a blame game. It's everyone's fault but themselves. It's their looks. It's some predestined, nothing can ever change. Oh, woe is me. I have the most wonderful personality in the world. I'm the most interesting person in the world. They just can't see it. Like, dude, no. Come on. Like, I gotta be serious here, dude. You're over here talking, using incel terms, using blackpill terms. What you are is you play like League of Legends, I'm gonna guess. And I play League of Legends. I play games on my PC. I watch YouTube videos. But you're watching this incel, this blackpill. You're watching Fresh and Fit. You're watching the whatever podcast. You're just existing in your incel little insular like dome of delusion, and you refuse to see the world as it actually is. You're just blaming everything on your looks. Oh, women don't want anything to do with me because I'm ugly. You're making yourself, you have a victim complex, and it's just harming yourself and others. Like, it's keeping you in this delusional dome, and you're never going to see anything positive out of that. Unless you become a successful grifter like Fresh and Fit or the whatever podcast, then you'll see a little bit of success if you're really good at it. I don't know. That seems to be like what you're going for here, but just in a more like a different kind of way. Instead of being like a fake alpha like those guys are, you're trying to do it from just a different perspective, from you being the like beta.
Sense of humor, money and status, masculinity start to come into play. So to give you an example, if you're not dressed well as an average looking guy, you're not wearing tight clothing, clothing that really fits you or helps you stand out, this could kind of really make or break you. Whereas more of a good looking guy, they can get away with dressing poorly. They might be wearing baggy clothing or
like, who cares what a good looking guy can get away with or can't get away with? Who cares? Like, it's so meaningless, dude. Like, what are you talking about? I've seen guys, right? Like myself, I dress in baggy clothes. I've been wearing basketball shorts since I was a kid. It's what I find comfortable. It's what I wear. And I wear the cheapest shirts, whether they be from Walmart, whether they be from Kmart, whether they be from Giant Tiger. Like the cheapest shirts I can find in just different colors, right? And they're not well fitted. They're just stretchy material, right? I'm not like a mega obese guy, but I ain't in shape. You could argue, oh, well, you're 6'2", so it's just all easy for you. But like, I'm sorry, but I see short guys. I see short guys with similar sense of style, or short guys who are just ghetto as, baggy, ridiculous, looking like crap. Like sketchy guys with gorgeous women. I see short guys with gorgeous women, both who dress well and both who don't dress well. Like it's not like what those guys are doing. You know what those? Well, some of those. Guess what? They're having fun. You know, some of the sketchy guys. Some of that fun includes probably drugs, but they're having fun. You have to be like. You have to be a good time. You know, like I'm not encouraging anybody to do drugs or like be a sketchy person at all. Like I'm not into that. That's gonna have all other kinds of repercussions. But what I'm saying is like they at least like care that the women that they interact with are having a good time. You know, some in a scummy way, but that's a key factor here. That's like the most important thing. And again, you're just stop comparing yourself to other people. Who cares what other guys get away with? You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Clothes that don't match at all. But as an average looking guy, you can't afford to not have.
Like, look at it this way. Brad Pitt can get more women than me. Guaranteed. He's got more money and he's better looking. I will never be Brad Pitt. But you know what? Now, I don't know much about Brad Pitt personally. I know he's got, like, kids. And, you know, I'm sure he's had his pretty wild times in his life. But realistically, if all I wanted to do was hook up with more women, if that's all my, like, all I was interested in, I could hook up with more women in my lifetime than Brad Pitt has. Because, like, in theory, if I just dedicated all my time to it, I could. Because guess what? Brad Pitt also works pretty hard. He's in like a lot of movies and he travels and he's got kids, right? So like, and you know what I mean? Like he's a busy dude. There's probably better examples of more busy like actors or people. But yeah, it's like why are you comparing yourself to anybody else?
Have some sort of fashion sense.
I swear these guys are just obsessed with other men. They're just like, I think they're just all bi. Like, what is this? Why are you, what is the, like, they just buy into this, like, fresh and fit style grift where, or like Andrew Tate grift where you need to want to be like Brad Pitt if he was a multi-billionaire. And if you're not, you're like, you're below average. You're like way below par, and you need to be striving for like this extreme level of excellence, which is basically mathematically unachievable. And if you're not that, then you're just not an alpha. You're not the Giga Chad, and you're a failure somehow. It's so stupid. It's so gay, honestly. Like why are you obsessing so much about other men? It's bizarre. In such a negative way. In a way that it only results in you looking negatively upon yourself. Like, yeah, you should have, like, role models, men you look up to, men you want to be like. But who those men are is super important, and it shouldn't be, like, this huge, overwhelming thing in your life. All right, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I look up to the YouTuber Shay Carl. Because he's a great guy, because he's a great father with a great family. Now, you know, you look him up, you're going to see the one, like, controversy the guy's ever had where he was, like, basically cheating on his wife in DMs. But he's got a beautiful family. He's a wonderful father. You know, regardless of the controversy, like, he made one major screw up. He was DMing some chick. But outside of that, like, that's just a one very stupid thing that he did that had a major impact, but he nothing in comparison to how wonderful of a father and person that he truly is, right? But even outside of that, like, say that never happened or never got exposed, say we didn't know that happened, right? Still, super successful guy, hardworking, loving, caring, wonderful father, right? Absolutely somebody who you should look up to because of the way he treats people, because of, like, him wanting better for himself and his family. Just a positive, uplifting guy. He's helped countless other YouTubers and people. Just a charitable, great guy. That's what he is. But that being said, he's not perfect, right? Like, he's not, like, honestly, my goal is to be a better father than this guy. I don't want to have as many kids as he has, but I want to be a far better father. And I think I can because I'm more open-minded, and overall, like, I understand a lot of a wider variety of things than he does, right? Like, he's a great entertainer, a super successful YouTuber. He was part of Maker Studios, which was sold to Disney for like over $500 million. I'll never be as like, I'll probably never be as wealthy and successful as him, but even with him being somebody that I look up to and want to be like, it's all in a positive way, right? Like, this guy has undeniable, huge positive traits about him. And I want to be like that, and I want to be even better than him because I want to be a better human being, which is like a very high bar, but I'm not going to feel bad about myself and like blame myself if I can't achieve that, right? Like, it's fine. And like, it's so weird when these incel guys look up to somebody like Fresh and Fit, who like literally like purchase prostitutes, who are these like scummy, ridiculous men, who are just like greedy, self-centered losers. No like joy in their life, really. Just like these grifter wannabe alphas. Like, dude, like, we'll watch the video.
And I think the same goes with other factors as well. The differences in attractiveness between average-looking guys, it's going to tend to vary from woman to woman. But for average-looking guys, the attractiveness level tends to be very close together. There's not like an exponential difference between one guy to the other. You know, one guy might have really good hair, whereas another guy might have just decent hair, but he might be a few inches taller. From a looks perspective, there's not much of a difference.
What are you like? Continue.
So, you know, average-looking guys, they can tend to...
Like, he's so obsessed with these men. It's wild. Oh, this guy, you know, he's got better hair, but this other guy, he's slightly taller. Why are you obsessing over this? What is happening, dude?
to compete, you know, vigorously with each other.
And then the end result of these guys' absolute obsession with like other men never results in them being better than these other men. Never results in them saying like, oh, well, maybe I should make my hair look really good. Maybe I should, get like the best fashion sense I can have. Maybe I should, like, some of these guys do this like looks maxing BS, but then it doesn't give them the confidence anyway, because their personality sucks. Because that's really ultimately what matters, is the personality. But it's insane that these guys, they never make up for their shortcomings and get a good personality, become fun and funny. It's so bizarre. They just can't chill for 2 seconds. They never just relax. Literally, it's what confidence is, right? Like women openly admit that they care more than anything about confidence. What that means is the ability to relax, to be like, all right, I'm going to go on this date. It's going to go well. We're going to have fun. Even I'm going to look for some red flags, maybe ask some questions that would allow me to figure out if there's red flags, but I'm mostly going to keep it totally chill. I'm going to have a good time no matter what. Most likely, this woman's going to want to date me. She's going to want to go home with me. That's like only positive things are going to happen. That's what confidence is. Confidence isn't like, oh, I'm a Giga Chad and this woman's going to be like asking me out. No. It's not how dating ever works. Like, it still requires effort regardless. Like, there is, talk to any woman. Any woman has gone out with a good looking guy who just has no personality, who they're like, oh well, that was a disaster. Watch any there's video, there's like decades of video of dates, and in some of them there's good looking guys who butcher it, who bomb, who don't like, they fail miserably because they're idiots. They don't do the correct things, or they mess things up, they drop the ball, man. These guys, they exist in this delusion where these good-looking men can do no wrong in a date, that there's no failing when there 100% is. Oh my God! But why? Like, look at this man on the screen. He's pointing at you, because that's who is the problem. It's you. And look at this guy, right? He's got nice hair. He's got a nice beard going. He's pretty normal looking. I don't even know if he's good looking. I don't know. He looks super average. He's average to good. I don't know. I would assume like a 6 out of 10. I don't know. I don't care. Right? Why would it affect me at all? I can be better. I'm 10 times better than this guy. Right? I don't know if I'm better looking. I'm probably not. Who cares? It's a complete non-factor. But there's a good chance. Now, this guy looks like a fun guy. This guy looks like a fun dude. Nothing against him. In fact, if I were to hang out with this guy, I would assume it would be a very positive reaction. Because you know what? Like, interaction, because I get along with men really well. I get along with women really well. We would have a good time. We would have a beer, maybe play a video game. Who even knows, right? If he's not into that, not into the stuff that I am, guess what? We'll still shoot the shit. We'll have a good time. Probably a good dude, you know? That's kind of a side point, but you should also have the mind. It also really benefits you as a man to have the mindset that other men also struggle, even if they're good looking. Guess what? That good looking guy, things aren't nearly as easy for him as you believe them to be, and he's going to have all kinds of issues no matter what. He's a person. He's most likely a good person. That should be your default. A lot of these guys also just hate other men. They turn this into this competition, into this extreme hatred of other men and women and whatever it be. No, you should assume part of having confidence and having fun is also assuming not only that your date is going to go well, but that you're going to like all of her friends, that everyone you encounter is a good and positive person, right? You're not going to turn everything into a competition between you and everybody else, because it's going to look great on you. Like think about how much women are into like astrology and crystals and positive energy and positive vibes. They don't want a guy who's like negative all the time and is super unsociable. They want a guy to believe to a guy who has friends, and a guy who's going to try to get along with their friends and family, somebody who sees the positive in others. Right? That's going to be super attractive to women. That's why women, not all women, but a good portion of women make it like a decent part of their like personality is just pure is positive energy. That's like a large thing. It's a meme because it's true, right? Like Shay Carl says, the secrets to life are hidden behind the word cliche. That you could extend that to memes. Right? Like, there's truth behind a lot of memes. And especially when it's like memes of just about like observational humor about how people are in their life or in dating specifically. Yeah, there's a hint of truth to that, because it's like the joke is that's how people are. That's how it's like dating is, right? Like it's so like you need to see the truth, not just in your like blackpill incel memes, but in like just general normal people memes, because that's probably more reflective of reality. So yeah, just stop making everything a competition and obsessing over other men. You can be better than any man, right? Like I said, I don't know Brad Pitt, but I'm probably funnier than him. If a woman goes on a date with me, she's probably having a better time with me. You know, he's like, she if a woman goes on a date with Brad Pitt, she's probably sleeping with Brad Pitt for sure. But like, I don't see an actual reality where she's gonna have more in common with Brad Pitt, or Brad Pitt's gonna be a funner time than I am. Just the reality, right? He's way better looking. He's rich and successful and famous. He has more status than I'll ever have, but a woman's gonna have a better time with me. That's just the truth of it. That's not even like a subjective opinion. That's not what it is. It's just, now I could be wrong. I could but I doubt that I'm wrong. Because why would Brad Pitt care about how good of a time the woman that he's going on a date with? He's Brad Pitt. He doesn't have to care. But he's like a top shelf, like he's like the absolute top, the pinnacle. So a non-factor, a complete non-factor. And he's even in the dating pool. Who cares? Like no woman I've ever gone on a date with has ever even seen Brad Pitt in real life. Like it's nonsense.
For girls and relationships, and they're gonna tend to push for the relationship a lot more than the woman. Whereas if you're a good-looking guy,
all right, I'm going to back this up just a sec, and I'm going to cut this. I'm going to do a part 2, just because these videos get really long, and I want to make them a little bit more consumable and easy to watch. So, check out part 2 if you'd like. I won't post it if it's like boring, if the guy just retreads what he says in the first half of this video. But yeah, hopefully see you in part 2.